Hi, my name is Tian. Today we're going to talk about Ozgur Tataroglu. So Ozgur was a postdoc in Patrick Emery's lab in the University of Massachusetts Medical School in Worcester. He mainly conducted research in circadian clock stem cells and CRISPR. The paper that we're going to discuss today was published back in 2015, and it reviewed the effects of calcium and small optic lobe protease on temperature resetting on circadian clocks. And so this paper was cited a total of 8 times since it was published in 2015, and along with Ozgur, there was an additional 5 authors. And this was actually thought to have been a breakthrough in research because the circadian clock basically has 2 different sides. One is the light side or light effect of it, which is what your body distinguishes night and day. And then the other portion is temperature. And so there's not a lot of research on the temperature portion, but there is on the light portion. And so this article was considered a breakthrough because it did show that you were able to manipulate the circadian rhythm. And so the methods being used, so in the article, both calcium and SOL were used, and those are both very important circadian pacemaker proteins. Another one that was used in this article is TIM, and so in the article they were trying to see if by increasing calcium and SOL protease levels, if the degradation of TIM occurred more. And so in the natural temperature pathway of the circadian clock, the degradation of TIM is what shows that it's happening. And so it was found that calcium was a big part of that, because when they injected more calcium into the Drosophila, which are fruit flies, it did show acute degradation of the TIM. And all of the experiments used in this article were in vivo, meaning the fruit flies were the living organism, and they were placed into a petri dish in the lab. And so the main misconduct performed was the falsification of data in some of the key bar graphs in the article. So this did cause the paper to be retracted, and it was retracted from the journal called Cell, and it was retracted in 2017. This was mainly found by another lab trying to replicate the data, but they were unable to. And Patrick Emery, since it was his lab, he was assigned by UMass to investigate what happened. And Emery found that the behavior by Ozgur was actually repeated throughout the entire article, and 5 of the figures were found to be falsified. The data was made to look like it supported the hypothesis when it didn't. So the sanctions that were received from the ORI, they gave Ozgur a 3-year supervision on any of his research that he had conducted. I don't think this was really harsh, considering that this was supposed to be groundbreaking. So for those 3 years, if he were to conduct any type of research, he would need 2 to 3 senior researchers at that same lab that were experienced in the field to provide oversight on his research. And then those same 2 to 3 people that were supposed to provide oversight are also supposed to review any of the grant applications that he puts in, and then any papers that he is wanting to submit before they get submitted. But this was actually found to be out of the norm for the ORI, based on their agreements that they've made before. And so the article was retracted from the publication, and Ozgur actually did refuse to sign the retraction notice, although all 5 other participants and authors did sign the retraction notice. and it was actually retracted by the publication because the other authors wanted it to be retracted. And so the impact of the misconduct is actually not really known. The Retraction Watch reached out to Patrick Emery and Ozgur, and neither responded with any comment on the impact. Patrick Emery's lab did actually receive a $4.1 million MIRA, which is a research award from the National Institute of General Medical Sciences, and they received that in 2016. And since Patrick Emery did not comment back, it is actually unknown if that award, as well as the very generous amount of money, was taken back as well. But I think since maybe this was a groundbreaking finding, it was probably just really disappointing to other scientists to know that it was falsified, but it could also have helped basically by knowing that that wasn't something that could be proven. So I guess it could help guide other scientists and researchers in the right direction. And these are my references.